What's your biggest takeaway from Baker's comment?
He seems happy to be out of Cleveland. Him giving back $3.5 million tells you that he was ready to turn the page in Cleveland. It didn't end very well. I don't know how did it turn so fast, so quickly, Skip. But Baker was ready to move on. The Cleveland Browns let you know they were willing to move on because they invested more money on a quarterback than anybody in NFL history. As a matter of fact, more than any player in NFL history. They guaranteed the entire contract. That's never been done before. And they did it to the tune of $80 million more money than what Aaron Rodgers had gotten guaranteed, the $150. They said, we'll do better than that. We'll do the $230. So Cleveland was ready to move on. Baker was ready to move on. And Skip, and I heard him, and he said all the right things. You know, I've learned, some of the things that I've learned from and blah, blah, blah. But the proof is going to be in the pudding. And guess what, Skip? We'll get an opportunity to see very, very early on. You know how soon we'll see? Because if Baker Mayfield is starting opening day, guess who they play? Now, we saw what happened when they played Cincinnati. When Hugh Jackson was relieved of his duty, he went on the staff of the Cincinnati Bengals. Mm-hmm. What did Baker do? So we're going to see how the maturity factor, we're going to see, because it keeps coming out now, and I don't know how true it is, Skip. Maybe they're trying to dirty the salty the man up or muddy the man up after he's gone. But it seems to me they keep saying he was childish, he was immature, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I don't know if that's to be true, but all I'm saying is this, is that we're going to see through some of his actions how much he's grown, how much he's learned from the situation in Cleveland. And hopefully he's learned a lot. Hopefully the shoulder's healed, he's progressing right on time. For me, I think one thing that does show, I don't know me, Baker, I wouldn't give him no money. I'd have told him, kiss my butt. I'd have kept rehabbing, getting ready, and when they'd ultimately release me, I'd have been ready to go sign somewhere and show that I'm ready to play. I would have given him none of that money back because I'm under no obligation. That's you guys. You signed the contract. We're going to talk about this a little later about signing a contract and what it means, especially this is the only time that you can get guaranteed money in the NFL. So if I'm Baker, I wouldn't have given him any of it back. But he did because he was willing to move on. Cleveland graciously accepted him giving some of the money back because they was ready to move on. I'm anxious to see, Skip, how much he's grown, how much he's matured from this situation. This is a new opportunity for him. Let's see if he's learned a lesson.
By the way, I just can't. This is sticking in my craw. I had a whole lot I was about to say, but you continue to shame my man Baker Mayfield because he got replaced by a top 3 quarterback. At least the last time I saw Deshaun Watson, he was a top 3 quarterback. That would mean that there would be 29 other quarterbacks who should be replaced by Deshaun Watson, and you're throwing Baker Mayfield in as if it's the ultimate humiliation and embarrassment.
No.
Well, it's not.
No.
Who wouldn't do that?
But let me tell you, but here's the thing. It just happened to be Deshaun. They were on the market looking for a quarterback. They should have never been on the market looking for a quarterback.
I don't think they were on the market.
They absolutely were.
He came on the market, and you were the first to tell me this is unprecedented.
Yes.
A 25-year-old quarterback of this caliber, of the highest echelon, is suddenly weirdly available.
I believe if they could have got an opportunity to sign Matt Ryan, they would have taken Matt Ryan over Baker Mayfield. Do you still believe that's a viable option?
I don't.
I do.
I do not. We'll see how that works out. Okay, now, my biggest picture takeaway from yesterday, having watched what I watched and having seen what I saw from Baker Mayfield, I concur he was on his best behavior. It's because Baker Mayfield is back in business, doing what Baker does. He is now the underdog quarterback for the ultimate underdog team, and this is the role he embraces. This is the team that is ranked 32nd in the last ESPN.com power ranking. Okay. 32nd and last are the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
That, to your point, I echo, Baker chose to go to the 32nd ranked team. He chose it because this is the path that he knows. This is the path that he used to walk. He's not the ultimate powerhouse quarterback. He's not a Deshaun Watson. He needs to come from behind. He needs to sneak up on you.
Yeah, but Skip, let's not pretend now. He had a whole lot of options. He's eating potted meat because that's his option. Kobe is not on the menu. Lamb chops and lobster tails aren't on the menu. That's what's on the menu. Carolina was his option. You make it seem like he had options.
Well, you just said he had options. You just said the ultimate play was to just sit back and make them sweat until they finally folded.
Yeah, but
because we were getting close. We're getting close enough to train camp.
2 weeks.
Okay, they're going to fold because they don't want him back because it's just such an awkward situation. I made the case that if they could swallow their pride in Cleveland, that they would play Baker Mayfield. Again, we don't have an outcome yet on Deshaun's availability next year. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be gone for 8 games, gone for 6 games, or gone for 17 games? I don't know. But it's possible it's going to be gone for 17. We'll see soon enough. But if he's gone for 17, then what better option could you have than a Baker Mayfield who just 2 years ago won your first playoff game in 26 years?
Well, they saw 4 years of body, so they don't need to see another 17 games.
Okay.
They saw 4 years of work, and they weren't pleased.
I'm just telling you, or maybe I should ask you, would you rather have Baker Mayfield or Jacoby Brissett for 17 games next year if you're Cleveland? Because I think that answer is painfully clear. It's clearly Baker Mayfield. But there was bad blood. There was too much water under that bridge. The bridge had burned to the ground.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're saying, we have to get out from under. Well, if you have to, then the Baker play, to your point, was just make them sweat and fold. Because if they fold, they're going to have to eat the whole contract. Yep. And if they have to eat the whole contract, that makes you free to go sign wherever you want to go.
Yes.
And I'm convinced, Mike Florio reported that any number of teams, up to 11 different teams, would have been interested, or at least should have been interested, in Baker Mayfield if he hit the complete free agent market, where you didn't have to compensate Cleveland at all for him or pay 1 penny of his salary.
Right.
So all of a sudden, this thing's on hair trigger. It's coming to the 11th hour, and Baker says, you know what? I'm going to eat $3.5 million of my salary because I want to go to Carolina. I want to. He can earn it back through incentives because he's incentive driven. His whole life has been one big incentive play because he had to walk on at Texas Tech. And then he fell apart with Cliff Kingsbury, and he had to walk on at the University of Oklahoma. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He effectively just walked on at Carolina. That's what he's doing. He's going to be a walk-on quarterback, walking in as probably on the depth chart. I don't even know if there is one out there yet, but I'm pretty sure Sam Darnold is at least penciled in as the opening day starter.
Yeah.
They're saying it's a 50-50 battle on the field, but I just think that because they are having to pay Sam Darnold, they chose to pay Sam Darnold $19 million this coming year because they gave a 2nd-round pick for Sam Darnold along with a 4th-round pick, along with the 6th-round pick for Sam Darnold. Their pride is tied up in Sam Darnold. Well, he's 2 years younger than Baker. He's 25 to 27. He's a great young man by all accounts. Baker can be a little prickly. Baker can be a little jerky every once in a while. He can be a little smug and condescending. It's part of the Baker package. It's why I like him. I don't want to be friends with him. I just like the way, I like his spunk and his spirit on the football field when he gets a team behind him where they're all in it together, like we're going to show you. He's the ultimate I'm going to show you guy. Okay. He needs the biggest chip on his shoulder pads, and he finally got one back. He doesn't need to be the first pick in the draft. That's not the role that he plays best, even though his rookie year, did he not live up to being first pick in the draft? All he did was set the rookie record for touchdown passes. So I think he backed it up and validated it, and then here we went. But the point is, now he's starting over in the role that he savors. And what I love the most about what he did when he walked in the door was he paid the new, they just signed Hecker as their punter, who had just acquired the number 6 from P.J. Walker, who's now about the 3rd-string quarterback. He was the backup last year.
I think he was Matt Rule in Temple.
He was.
That's where he.
Man, I'm sure Matt Rule, in his heart of hearts, would love to go with P.J. as his starting quarterback because he won with him at Temple and got him the job at Baylor. Okay, so P.J. wore 6 last year, number 6. And Hecker, the new punter, bought 6 from P.J., and then Baker walks in the door and bought it from Hecker. And yet, what I did not know that Baker volunteered in his media session, his Zoom session that he did, was that 6 is not his favorite number. It's just the number he got handed when he walked on at Texas Tech. So he values it as for sentimental purposes because that was the number they stuck him with, right?
Yes.
That reminds
I don't know any other. You know any other sixes?
No, I don't like 6. I don't like anything about 6 or 6.
Oh, Doc, well, I'm talking about football, but Doc, obviously Bill Russell and Dr. J.
Okay, I got you, but it's
Even
not
LeBron now.
It's not a popular quarterback number.
No.
And to your point, off the top of my head, I'm not a big numbers guy, but I can't remember one.
No.
It doesn't just pop up in my brain.
Right.
All of a sudden, Baker's saying, give me 6 because that's what I got stuck with and that's what I started with. And that's what motivates me the best is to wear 6. Okay, so here we go. He's right back in the underdog role for the most underdog team. So I loved everything he said. To your point, he was on his best behavior. Now, will he back it up on the football field with best behavior? I just like his new mindset. And yet, my biggest takeaway of the day, the thing that just knocked me out of my chair was, finally, he announced no more progressive commercials. I'm pretty sure that was Progressive's choice because Baker has become bad news to me, thanks to people like Shannon Sharpe.
That's my fault.
It is your fault. I think you and you alone led the charge to wreck his progressive value to progressive.
You the one that said it. You wish he had stopped doing these commercials. It's too many. Every other break in a football game, you see Baker moving in the house, moving out of the house, sprinkling, watering the lawn. Now you blaming me.
But by the way, we're going to go deeper into this, but I tried to assemble a list, which I hold in my hand right here, and we don't have time to do it right now, but we will do it later in the show. Of all the progressive commercials he made, it's dozens.
Yeah.
Seriously, they must have made one a week. Progressive is based in Cleveland. After Baker's rookie year, it looked like he was the new it kid in pro football, right? It looked like he had next for whatever next was as sort of the spokesman, the premier insurance spokesman for pro football. I know Aaron does it, and then Mahomes. But as far as the newest hot thing, it was Baker back in the first year in Cleveland, right? And so home-based progressive in Cleveland jumps all over Baker, and they just ran him today. Like I kept telling you, it's every other commercial is another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. It was relentlessly bad for Baker Mayfield. And at least I did first guess this because I was saying it back to I think they started in his second year. But I told you, this is the single worst decision he has ever made in his football life. And I believe he should regret this to his dying day. You cannot do that many commercials. You can argue, well, I'm good at them. Well, are you good at them? You know what you're good at? You're good at playing smug, condescending, smarmy, almost unlikably likable. You know, that it's my house, it's Baker's house, right?
Well, that's the thing, Skip, when you say, you've learned some valuable lessons, but I'm going to be me. So did you really learn? Because a lot of times, Skip, if you be you, it's going to run you into the same problem that you said that you learned from. So Baker being Baker is like you said, he's that guy that has the chip on his shoulder, that wants to rub it in your eye. So have you really learned? And that's what a lot of people, man, I'm going to be me, I'm going to do me. And guess what? You're back in the exact same situation that you swore you weren't going to be in because you learned your lesson from that previous situation. But you being you found yourself right back where you were to begin with.
Okay.
So has he learned?
Okay. But at least you take the target off your back. If there are no more progressive commercials, he said he wanted to do one more, which was the moving away commercial. So it was at home with Baker Mayfield, if you haven't seen them for whatever reason, if you live on Mars. Baker's house is actually Cleveland Stadium. So he's playing for the Browns and living at the stadium with his wife, Emily, and madness ensues, right? Okay. The problem with that is he's won nothing. If he had won, let's just say, one Mahomes-style ring, if you had one ring to your credit, I'd say, okay, fire away, be my guest. But at least Patrick Mahomes waited until he had broken through, he and Lee Steinberg, that they said no commercials until we've actually done something of real value, which is he went and did that, okay? And then fire away, do State Farms, do whatever you want to do. And he did. But Baker has won nothing except a single playoff game for a woebegone franchise that hadn't won a playoff game in 26 years. That's not good enough to do that many national TV commercials.
Right.
If they were local Cleveland commercials, okay, be my guest.
Right.
But they're not local commercials, right? So if I'm Shannon Sharpe playing against Baker Mayfield, not that you play defense, but if your team is going to, if you're on Broncos, Ravens, whatever, and you're going to play Baker, I know what you guys are saying in the locker room. That's sorry, like let's teach him a lesson today. He's won exactly what? He's won exactly nothing, and he ain't going to win nothing today because we are going to shut that little punk down. That's what you would say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's how he comes off to me in the commercials. Well, that spirit of his, it works on the football field if you're leading a football team, but you have to be able to back it up. You can't play injured all year like he did last year because you were the first to tell me, well, he shouldn't have been on the field. Oh,
yeah, because you're putting bad tape out there.
You put a ton of bad tape because you went for virtually for 16 games. You kept playing. You played 16 games with a shoulder that required surgery the day after the season ended. Okay. So to me, the best news is, I don't care how much money you made off Progressive, and what do you think he made? God, enough to. Yeah. I mean, he made, what do you call it? Lifetime, what do you call it? Generational wealth. I mean, I think he got generational wealth just out of the Progressive commercials, right?
I think he did pretty good. Those are national spots, and they run for a period of time. Right. I just think the thing is, Skip, is like, look, like you said, hopefully he's learned his lesson. For whatever reason, I don't know, Skip. And like I said, I hate speaking behind. My grandmother say, boy, stop speaking behind people, which means stop repeating what you heard someone say. But Mort reported this in March, that the Browns wanted an adult, said he was very childish, very immature. Now, I don't know that to be true, but that's just what was said. And so hopefully Baker, like, okay, this is what I did do that I know I shouldn't have done when I was in Cleveland. I'm not going to do that here. And I just want to see, like I said, Skip, there's a time and a place for everything. But I just think the thing is that when you score a touchdown against the Browns, if you throw a touchdown or you do something good, don't run to their bench and look at them and stare at them and do things of that nature, because what that shows is that you haven't learned, that you still childish. You don't think Tom Brady wanted to skip last year against New England. You don't think Tom Brady wanted to run and look at Coach Belichick or pat him on the back, say, hey, think I'm done now? How'd that Jimmy G situation working out? You think that kid you got right now be better than me at any point in time in his career, will ever be better than I was at my worst? Of course he did. That's Tom Brady. And Skip, you know he carries a grudge because in his documentary, he had me talking about him. And everybody else that said Tom Brady was done, somehow they made a small appearance, a cameo in his documentary. So obviously they carried that with them.
Okay. Yet that's part and parcel of the spirit and spunk that drives this kid. Yes. And he's still a kid to me as he turns now. He's about to turn
28?
27. No, 27. Okay, so the point is, I hear you. He needs to grow up. I think he just got forced to grow up a little bit. We'll see if he puts it into action.
Yes.
But all of that worked at Oklahoma because he won the Heisman Trophy doing everything you just said.
Yes.
But it's college football, and it's sort of college rah-rah, and you can maybe get away with a little bit more.
And most of the time, Skip, you're at Oklahoma, you're trotting out there the best talent on the field.
True.
So you can get away with that. You're at Carolina. You're not going to trot out there the best talent on the field on a given Sunday. It's going to be very often that you're going out there with the second best talent, and there's only two teams out there, and you're not first.
I got it. Final takeaway. It was interesting to me that he said that Sam Darnold reached out to him. I don't think Baker would have reached out to Sam.
No.
But that Sam, who is the incumbent starter and probably thinks he's still the penciled-in starter on the depth chart, he reached out to Baker, let's be friends, let's do this together. And then Baker yesterday said all the right things about healthy competition, good quarterback meeting, we can push each other to be better. But trust me on this, Baker is going in there thinking he is going to win this job.
He should.
Yes, he should.
Oh, of course. I mean, hey, every year I understand that, look, only one of us can play. And that's the thing about a position that there's only one, Skip. One center, one tight end. You know, sometimes they'll run double tight, one quarterback. If there's only one of us, I'm winning. we going to be homeboys. We're going to laugh and talk in the cafeteria. We're going to joke in the meeting rooms. We're going to have a good old time.
Yep.
But don't think for 1 second, I'm not trying to be the one that when they call that starting lineup, I'm going to head out there in the field. So, babe, if Sam Darnold think anything other, yeah, Baker be your friend. But Baker trying to get that job. He realized there's something special about a starting quarterback versus a backup quarterback.
Yep.
And the backup, hey, they're a great job, you know, and all that. But Baker Mayfield is trying to be the starter. He's been the starter, and once you become a starter, you kind of like that position more so than the backup.
When you've walked on, you know what it feels like to walk in as 4th or 5th on the depth chart and have to fight your way up the ladder, right?
Yes.
So I think he's relishing being back in. I got to fight my way up the depth chart.
He has a college mentality. Who walked on what? There's probably 5 or 6 quarterbacks in front of him. Just like when I went to Savannah State. Hey, I was like 7th, 4th, or 5th wide receiver. I came out of spring practice. I was number 1.
Okay.
And they look back.
And then you got drafted in not the 1st round or the 2nd, the 7th round.
7th round.
And when you stepped onto your first training camp practice field with the Denver Broncos, God knows how far down that depth chart
I was way down.
Way down.
Because they had just come off the Super Bowl, Skip. So they had 5 receivers that were from that Super Bowl team returning. And plus a guy that was on the practice. I think he was in camp the year before. So I was way down.
Way down, so you can appreciate
absolutely.
the mentality of what it takes to rise.
Yes.
Okay. Baker's back in business.
And that is going to be on full
back in business
display,
now.
guys,
Okay,
when the
he's back
Carolina Panthers open training camp Wednesday, July 27th at 11:15.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.